We do want to warn you that you may find some of the video in this next story disturbing. Leaders of Maine's Department of Public Safety are explaining how the state's largest police force handles complaints and investigations. Those complaints and investigations are part of 2 lawsuits filed against Maine State Police for instances of excessive force. State House reporter Christian Harsa shows us why some lawmakers say now they have many more questions.
It's good to see everybody. Welcome back.
Maine Department of Public Safety Commissioner Michael Soschuk and State Police Lieutenant Colonel Brian Scott were called before the Committee for Criminal Justice and Public Safety on Tuesday.
So depending on exactly what the situation is, will depend on what lever you may be pulling to investigate something.
The Commissioner and Lieutenant Colonel offered details about how Maine State Police and the department handle complaints about officer misconduct and the repercussions that come from those incidents.
Suspension of a certificate for up to 3 years.
The worst punishment for an officer is decertification.
That follows them throughout the rest of their life. I would say the rest of their career. They don't have a career. They're not certified, so they're out.
The 2 DPS leaders had a lot to say, but they would not answer questions about the Justin Savage excessive force case.
We're here to discuss policy and process, and happy to do that. And I appreciate the question. I understand where you're coming from, but that's not something we're going to be able to address at all.
Savage suffered a broken nose when he was punched by a state trooper during an arrest back in March 2024. Democratic State Representative Nina Milliken of Blue Hill was one of the lawmakers who had questions about Savage's arrest.
I was hopeful that I would get some kind of appropriate response about why the officer in question was promoted while being the subject of an investigation of use of force allegations.
Corporal Jamie Fenderson was promoted in August 2024 while he was under investigation.
It seems nonsensical to me that you would promote a trooper who was alleged to have beaten a man while he was cuffed.
Lieutenant Colonel Scott says disciplinary action information is available by submitting a Freedom of Access Act request.
Unless they were a complainant in a case. If they're the complainant, we provide them with the outcome.
Milliken says that doesn't seem right and that information should be readily available.
So that the members of the public know who is patrolling their communities and who's tasked with keeping us safe.
On the case of Savage, Milliken wants more answers there too.
I think that the committee has some work to do.
In Augusta, Christian Harsa, News Center, Maine.